English Hub. What I want to share with you is a bit of an update about what we've got on offer next year and how you might engage with it. Because the English Hub it's got all these different elements to it, and depending on where you are as a school, certain bits will be more applicable than others. So if I'm talking about sort of like our patch really. So 2018-19, the DfE were looking for schools that were doing really well with phonics, and they're looking for schools that sort of hit more than 90% in three years, and they reached out to them to say, right, would you like to apply to be an English Hub? What that meant is that actually you've got quite a spread of English Hubs, and some closer to others, and then sort of large areas. So if you look on the little map there, we're in the heart of it really. So we've got the areas there on the left, but what we've got a really good agreement with English Hubs around us that actually you should really be going to your closest English Hub. However, if you other schools around you are working with another one, reach out to those. But actually, that's our little patch. So if you are on there, please do reach out to us and get in touch. We have a huge team of 2 people. So there's myself and Georgia acts as the sort of coordinator. She deals with these events and the emails and putting data together and all those sorts of things. And it's my job to lead it. So we're a really small team, but actually sort of some of the key players in our team that work with schools are literacy specialists. So we have a team of 6 literacy specialists. We're just about to recruit 1 or 2 more. And what these guys are, they are current practitioners. They're working in primary schools, and they're leading reading in their own schools, and they've accessed a large amount of training. So they've got that sort of real sort of rigor and fidelity in their own schools, and they're doing really well. But then they've accessed extensive training through the DfE opportunities and through our own in-house training as well. So we've got some real experts who want to get out there into the schools. So what they do is they work alongside schools and can offer that school-to-school support in terms of what happens in their schools and how they can sort of share that with others. But also they've got a rigorous program that they implement with schools as they work alongside them. So when people see English Hub, most people sort of think, like, English, great, that's the whole lot. Well, not yet. To start with, we've got sort of 3 aims that we're sort of directing our work around. This one we haven't done a great deal about, but I think it's going to come to the forefront in the next academic year. So developing early language and closing that word gap. Due to the COVID pandemic and the disruption to sort of like those early years, we are seeing a huge demand here in terms of gaps. So next year we're going to have more and more in terms of training programs on this, and it's going to be part of our work with schools. I would say 95% of the work of the English Hub is around systematic synthetic phonics, ensuring that schools have got a validated program and it's working well to make sure those children are becoming readers. If anyone is working in secondary schools, at the moment, the actual sort of intensive package that we offer doesn't correlate to secondary schools. But what I would say, if you've got a team or individuals that are sort of allocated to supporting early readers, please get them to engage in our materials as soon as possible. And I know there is talk of potentially opening up the English Hub program to start to cater for secondary as well. But your colleagues can come along to our events. So early language, systematic synthetic phonics, and promoting a love of reading. So our goal is basically to get all children to be readers, and then that crucial step of wanting to be a reader. So we do a lot of work with Open University, research material from Theresa Kremen, and they're embedded in our programs and the way we work with schools. So my hub we've got a specific way of working. I just want to share that with you. So if you work with our team, all of my team they know our strategy in terms of hearing the challenge. They want to know what you are up against in your school. They will bring that extensive knowledge that they've had to help you find those solutions, and they'll help you find those solutions as well. And finally, all of them are authentic examples, including myself. If we're asking you to do something and maybe try something new, it's because we're able to do it ourselves, and we want to be able to support you with that and work alongside you. So one of the first connections where you'll see that in action is a showcase event. So if you're interested in sort of working partnership with us, you would come to a showcase event. So that takes place at Horsendale Primary. So just off of Junction 26 on the motorway, right in the middle, easy to get to. You come to Horsendale and spend a day with us. And that day will enable you to go and around the school, see some reading in action, particularly phonics. You can see that really best practice that is it's doing well. Let's share it with you. Because there are at the moment 31 phonics programs for you guys to pick from, we will be there to help support you find the right one for you, or if it's one that you've already selected and started to embed, we'll start to work with you to hopefully get that even better. Really, the day is really action packed. We've seen the practice, you hear about phonics programs, you get some professional development, we have sort of inputs from the LSs. With all that knowledge and sort of time to reflect, you end up having an action plan on where you go to move forward. So the showcase is a chance to sort of begin that partnership with us. Now, if that's something that you're interested in, I'll share the website at the end. On our website, we've got sort of 2 key bits that you have to click on. So if you see the third one along there, it says showcase events. That will give you greater detail about those events, and we'll have a self-referral form. So if your school are interested in coming to that, fill in that self-referral form, and then can you see what it says training events on the right-hand side. You would then select a showcase that you want to come to, and again, I'll share the dates for those in a moment. So the showcase is that first interaction. When you come to the showcase event, it then opens the sort of doors to how you might work with us, and this is where this particular theme of the funding for schools comes in. So let me start with this idea of intensive support. If you were a school meeting some of those criteria on the left, we would have to prioritize. Essentially, you might be a school that's already selected a program, or you're looking to select one, and what you know is that your early reading could be better. And what I mean by that is you're not hitting national, or you're not hitting 90% or better in that screening check, or you've got large numbers of children that are just struggling to become readers. What we do is you come to the showcase event, and during the showcase event, well, you'll obviously get all that content, and then you'll decide that, wait a minute, I've heard a lot about the English Hub. We meet some of those criteria. I think we would like to apply to become a partner school and have some of that intensive support. So schools complete something called a next steps document. It's where you reflect on the day, you identify your next steps, and you indicate to us that you want to be a partner school and you want an audit. So therefore, in the spring term, myself or someone in my audit team will come out to your school, spend the day with you, looking at where you're at with things and helping you generate an action plan, but also sort of make that decision about, are you going to be a good school to work with, and is it going to be beneficial for us both to work together? During that time, you would then have a look at the resources required. So systematic synthetic phonics resources, decodables, training for that program. And then if you were on board and you take it on board as a partner school, you come to an induction, and then you begin that sort of journey of receiving at least 9 days of support from one of those literacy specialists over the 2 years. That's generally 6 days in year 1 and 3 in year 2. Those schools that need a little bit more in year 2 get it. And at this point, you can access up to £6,000 worth of funding, which is quite significant, really, in terms of dealing with a lot of the funding that you're going to have to sort of address, really, in terms of the resources and training. So you can have up to £6,000 if you take it on board as an intensive support school. Thinking about impact, we're just about to graduate our first wave 1 school. So we've got 20 schools that joined us. We've obviously had to support them during the pandemic and have supported them in this academic year. But the sort of numbers talk for themselves, how effective this program is and how effective we are. So out of the 20 schools in 2019, their phonics screen check scores averaged 69.8 between the 20 schools. In the latest data that's just come in, that average is now 83.1. So there are only 3 hitting the national in 2019. 13 of them are hitting 82. And it's predicted that that national figure of 82 is likely to be lower than that this time around, but we're going up for the 2019 one. No schools were scoring 90%. 6 out of 20 are now scoring 90%. And those that weren't at national or didn't hit the 90 have made huge gains. So schools increasing their screening check by 20 to 30%. Yes, that's data. More importantly, that's more children able to lift the words off the page. So that intensive program does work. However, you might not meet that criteria. You might not have larger numbers of pupil premium. Your phonics screen check might be okay, for example. You can still come to a showcase event. You might want to access what we call a medium support, a medium level support. So you would come to the showcase. You would complete the same next steps document. Instead of ticking the box to become a partner school, you would just tick the box that says, we would like an audit in the spring term. My team will come out to you. And actually, as if there's a resource need, we would look at what those resources are and where you might need additional resources in terms of decodables, resources to teach you phonics, for example. We would also look at making sure that all staff are trained, make sure the senior leadership are trained. And then we would discuss potential funding. For the medium level support, we allocate up to £3,000. So you can see that the bit that's missing there is that in-school literacy specialist support. Okay, what we do ask of those schools is that they complete a termly progress survey. That's a data capture form. It's checking up on some of the things that were identified in action plans, for example, making sure that things have been actioned and so on. So that's the medium level support that generally schools receive up to £3,000. What the light touch and the medium support offer is more about the training or the programs that we offer. So for the medium support, it might be that you would need a little bit of funding for phonics, but actually what you want to push on with is more about this reading for pleasure agenda and implementing the Open University recommendations. So you might come onto one of our reading for pleasure programs, which I'll share the details of in a moment. You might not want any of that. You might just want to say, actually, we're doing a great job, but I still want to have some contact with the English Hub at that light touch level. You are still welcome to come to a showcase event. You're still welcome to complete that next steps document to share your thinking and your reflections on where you're moving forward as a school. You can access our free training events and programs. So we're doing more face-to-face programs now, but we've still got the odd webinar online. And you might access our monthly newsletter to help keep up to date with what's happening in terms of events, think pieces, research, resources, for example. So how to do that? Well, in terms of our face-to-face events on the website, so there's the web address there if you want to take a photo with your cameras. I will be sharing the web address at the end as well. If you click into training events, all of our free events are there. We're just about to release our autumn offer, so that will be on the website as well. So we've got events looking at non-fiction texts. We're kicking off our Reading for Pleasure programs. We've got some nursery phonics work as well, and other bits and pieces. And within there, so thinking about those Reading for Pleasure programs, maybe that's something that is how you want to work with us. So if you look at that, we've got a program called the Transforming Schools Reading Culture. If you're ready to really look at your reading culture at a whole school level, this is the program for you. Your early reading needs to be established and doing well. This is those schools that really want to push on and look at the Reading for Pleasure event. So it's five sessions, unpicking the Reading for Pleasure research and the recommendations, unpicking change management research as well, and then driving an action plan through the year, completing an audit, and those sorts of things. If you want to think about your individual teachers, we also run one of the Open University reading groups as well. So if you've got individual practitioners that want to think about children in their class or that they work with and wanting to make a difference in terms of them wanting to read, that's the event for them. So some schools are on that, and they've got individual teachers, maybe some early adopters on the teacher reading group as well. So that's two programs that you can get involved with. We've got the newsletter. So each month we have a newsletter where I share a think piece and some of my latest thinking. Left-hand side, as it always, has our latest free events. Down at the bottom are the recorded ones that you can continue to access. We share Reading for Pleasure materials and examples of practice and documents that are useful. I break down the DFE reading framework each time, a few sections at a time, and share how that might be useful for schools. We've always got a bit of a contribution from a local author as well. How might you move forward? Well, you can sign up to the mailing list by emailing us, and I will be putting all the slides, sorry, are on there as well. If you email us and say, I've listened to Carl, I'd like to be on the mailing list, just drop us your email and we can add you to that. That will let you know about the newsletter, but also another potential way to engage with us. So the accelerator this year has provided 44 schools. We've supported 44 schools and given significant funding. We've given out over £250,000 to those schools, which is a significant amount of money. We have applied to run that again next year. So that's another way that you might want to get involved. It's going to be an audit, funding for phonics resources, and 2 face-to-face visits. So it sits in between the medium support and the intensive support as well. But the only way you'll know about that is through our mailing lists and the newsletters. If you're interested in those Reading for Pleasure events, again, within your email, just say, I'm interested in the Transforming Schools reading culture or the teacher reading group, and we can send you those flyers. So you can quickly book onto those. And you might be interested in the showcase. You can go direct to the website. If you can't find your way around it, just email it to us and we'll send you the flyer for sorting that out. Okay, so as promised, they're the contact details. You've got the Twitter account, the email, and then that's the website you can go to for all information. So I've rattled through that really quickly. I normally take about 40 minutes and have time and pause for reflection. I've just talked really quickly, but I'm here for questions if I have skipped over anything or you do have them.
Fabulous, thank you, Carl. I was going to just talk for a couple of seconds and give people time to tippy tap on their keyboards if they have any follow-up questions. But I think what's been really lovely to see is that wider reading culture that you, through all the different avenues, from the fluency focus through phonics through to that reading for pleasure and also that wider engagement, particularly the research group. So yeah, it's really exciting opportunities with the hub, and hopefully even if we're finding that we can hook up maybe our year one teams alongside maybe our literacy leads into the bulletin, the briefing, it just might mean then that newsletter, it means then that they can be hooking into some of that real current practice and spotting when new opportunities come up, because I know that you guys do so much. I think, did you have was it Michael Rosen do a session with you recently?
Yes, Catherine Rundle, Michael Rosen, Tom Palmer. So they're the sort of three authors that we've worked with recently. Yeah. And Teresa Kremen as well. So yeah, we've had a good.
So even if your school is at a position that your phonics results are sorted and you're fine, etc., hooking into the wealth of opportunity and expertise in the English Hub for the wider structures is going to be so important. So thank you so much for spending your time with us, and we will ensure that the video is shared with colleagues who couldn't be with us live, and hopefully that will support with that dissemination across the system. So with that in mind, colleagues, I'm going to stop the recording, and if